Good morning. It's Friday, December 11th, and this is My Left Ear. Welcome. My name is Carrie Freeman, and I like to call myself the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. And what I do here is I focus on a lot of Democratic issues. So if you're a progressive, if you're a Democrat, if you're an independent, you'd probably be okay. But if you voted for Trump, you really should move on. You won't like me. You won't like the site. Right now, really focusing, manifesting the win for Jon Ossoff and Reverend Warnock in Georgia. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I think it looks really good. So what I do is I do therapeutic hypnosis. Been doing that for like 20 years, and psychic coaching. And I also coach for people who want to write or doing performance stuff, because I have a background there. All the opinions are my own. Thank you for the subscriptions. Like, it's so wonderful because we're growing here and I love it. And when I say we're, I'm talking about the ear. And I recently established that this is feminine. So if I say she, I'm talking about this female guy, my left ear. So what I do is energy reading. I feel the energy, I get messages, and I kind of put it through my own spanner. And as I always say, wouldn't it be nice if you liked the site, if you hit subscribe? Wouldn't it be nice? People who've been watching know that I like to say, wouldn't it be nice, in order to make things happen? That's my go-to. So the first thing, when I woke up yesterday and I saw the cover of Time magazine, probably like all of you, I was ecstatic. I really didn't see it coming. I didn't see both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on the cover. It just made me so happy on so many levels, because they are breaking ground, and it sends a message to Donald Trump. And I made jokes yesterday about, is he going to hurl himself off the second-story balcony of the White House, and kind of hoping. I wrote on Twitter, a girl can hope, and then someone wrote me, excuse me, I've got a little cough. I'm okay though, don't worry about me. Someone wrote me back and said, a boy can hope too. I thought that was very funny. So here's how I want to explain how Donald Trump is reacting to the Time magazine cover. Think back on your life. Think back of having a remarkable crush on somebody, just over the top, and they broke up with you. They broke up with you, and you can't get over it. You're beside yourself. All right, you remember that. Everybody's gone through that. Now, amplify that by about 1,000. And that's where you've got the psychosis of Donald Trump right now. So it's like a psychosis. He's unraveling. This is called when dementia meets a personality disorder and rage. And last week, I also decided that Fred Trump was really Dr. Fred Frankenstein, and he gave birth to the Frankenstein monster. And if you think about it, because I've watched the original Frankenstein in black and white a lot, you know, Trump has like the square head and the, flat top, and his arms hang limp at his side, and he kind of lumbers, and he really does remind me of Frankenstein. All right, so that's for a little levity. I want to talk about the AG position, because like me, a lot of people like Sally Yates, although even though I say that, I think there are great people out there, and I like who Biden is choosing, so I'm going to just trust Joe Biden. However, there's been news about Doug Jones also being a high consideration. And at first I went, really? Doug Jones? Doesn't seem strong enough. Well, then I read up on him, and Doug Jones has quite the resume. And he has been in that courtroom and a litigator, a prosecutor. So he's got more chops than I knew, maybe you knew, than I knew. So I went, okay, now hear me out. I do not think Joe Biden is going to announce the AG until after the inauguration. Here's my thinking. Here's our thinking. I think he wants to be securely the president before he makes that announcement, because then Donald Trump will not have the megaphone, the tweet, and quite as much press. And then that new AG is safely in. He also probably wants to see if the Democrats are going to win the Georgia runoff Senate, because then that AG will easily get confirmed. Now, let's just say, it's a terrible thought, let's just say the GOP wins and stays dominant in the Senate along with the horrible, terrible Mitch McConnell. Well, they're going to go after Sally Yates, and they're going to say she can't be fair, she was fired, she has an axe to grind. So for all these reasons, I just think we may not hear about the AG until after the inauguration, and probably immediately after the inauguration. And I think it's down to Sally Yates, Doug Jones, and I can tell you from the people that write me, Sally Yates is very popular. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, it doesn't mean that Joe's going to pick her, but people really, really like Sally Yates. So we'll see. I know other people have the same feeling. Now, also, the other thing that's positive about Sally Yates that I think could be part of the decision is that we've just had this sort of Fred Flintstone character as the AG, who's like a criminal. And he may want to put a woman in there just as that contrast, just different. And I think that is a strength for Sally Yates under those circumstances. And we know that Joe is very, well, he's just pulling in all kinds of people, you know, just wonderful, diverse people. All right, now I want to talk for a moment about Katie Porter, the amazing representative in Congress from California. I'm so crazy about this woman, as many people are. She's just the sharpest, most wonderful, intelligent. So here's the thing. Katie Porter is doing something I've been praying for. She is going after Mitch McConnell. She is angry. I've seen her interviewed. And she is going to investigate Mitch. She is really suspicious of him holding up the whole stimulus for people that are suffering, starving, evicted, sick, so he can protect big business from lawsuits from sick employees, forcing people to go to work when they're sick, and then people, maybe a relative dies because they worked in Tyson, and they cannot sue, they cannot get any money. And Mitch wants to protect all of these people. So I got to tell you, he's on the take. This is what we feel. Mitch is on the take, and he's standing firm, and he won't budge from this protecting this big business. I think he's getting a lot of money for that. But Katie Porter will find out. I have so much faith. So I am going to go into the stimulus a little more. This is really neat. There is a Missouri senator who's a Republican named Hawley, Senator Hawley, and he just, I think yesterday, unveiled a plan to get stimulus checks to all of you. Just stimulus, $1,200. That's it. That's the bill. He's passionate. He's really on the right side of things. I was like, oh, maybe that's a Republican I might like, just because he's thinking and he understands what people need. I've heard him speak. He's pretty impressive, actually. So, you know, I've been saying all along that I feel you all are going to get some stimulus. I said a few weeks ago it's going to be small. It's going to be a little disappointing. It's not going to be adequate, but something's going to come at the last minute. I've been saying that all along. I have a neighbor next door who's really anxious about all of this. And I said, you know what? I think you're going to get saved at the last minute. So I'm going to hold to that, because when things are really wrong, and I get an anxious thing in my solar plexus, and I've been checking it, and I have still not gotten anxious about this stimulus. But I'll tell you what, I'm driving around in my car and I'm thinking, you better be right. Hold on. I think I'm probably right. So here we go. When Joe takes over, there's going to be really good support financially. So however you can hang on, because I know this. Everybody knows it. Joe keeps his word. He's been talking about it. He is going to jump in and help. But this period is agonizing. And frankly, I'm angry at everybody. I don't like anybody right now except Joe and Kamala and Katie Porter. There's a few that I like, but I'm so angry about what people are having to endure. And, you know, I make an outline before I sit down and do the political thing. And I just keep adding to the outline during the week. So I added that this whole thing is like watching theater, bad theater of the absurd. And we're watching this big giant con in real time, because what Trump is doing is making a lot of money. And as I've told you before, he's not going to run in 2024. It's a big joke. Big joke. He's not going to run. He's making money, and he's sowing revenge. Now, here's the thing about the stimulus and issuing some checks. You would think, I would think, that Mitch McConnell, more than anything on the planet, wants to stay in his position as majority speaker. But if there's no money, if he doesn't make sure there's some money for the states and the people, it's just going to make the Democratic position stronger to win. So there's some kind of weird logic going on with Mitch McConnell, because I think the only thing that could make him cry now is losing his position. Go figure. Now, Ossoff and Warnock, I talked about this weeks ago, but this is kind of like very predictable. So it's not that special. I knew that Biden would go to Georgia. I knew that Biden would go to Georgia before the runoff and support and help and rally and do all that stuff. And it's announced he's going. So yay, they need him there. Some of these things I can't watch. I mean, I'm too much of an empath, and I'm going, that's like a train wreck. Did she say that? So, I tuned in for a second, and it was just the craziest thing to see the wonderful Jon Ossoff talking to an empty lectern. What can I say about it? It's just, Purdue doesn't want to debate. And Jon Ossoff said the best thing. He's so clever. I think he's so smart. He said, it's fine if Purdue doesn't want to debate. He just shouldn't run for office. I love that. It's just so practical. Smart man, Jon Ossoff. He's got a big, big future. So now someone wrote me, and they wanted me to write them back with an answer. And I really can't do that. I'm getting a lot of emails and stuff. But this jumped out, so I'm just going to mention it. A few days ago. It's about this Texas Attorney General who's crooked and who's aligning with Trump. This is dead on arrival. These 17 people, Republicans that are supporting Trump and have signed off and want to sue, is just dead on arrival. And I want to read the meaning of sedition, because that word is coming up a lot, and it's going to come up a lot more in 2021. And I'm pretty sure people are going to get charged. They really won't get charged for treason, because treason is during wartime, as I understand it. But sedition, and maybe racketeering. Trump and the Trump family, possibly racketeering. But here's sedition. Sedition is a serious felony punishable by fines and up to 20 years in prison. It refers to the act of inciting revolt or violence against a lawful authority with the goal of destroying or overthrowing it. That you just can't get any clearer than that. So, sedition. In fact, Esquire magazine just came out with an article. The Republicans are now a seditious organization. The article's correct. Now, I just want to mention Malcolm Nance. Malcolm Nance is very well known. He's an author and he's an expert on intelligence, terrorism, and insurgency. And I see him on Stephanie Miller a lot. Now, to say he's passionate is an understatement. Malcolm doesn't really talk. He kind of yells everything. And he's a bit of an alarmist, and I like him. I mean, he's very intelligent, and he's a patriot, and all this stuff. So this is not personal. But he's such an alarmist, and he creates this horrible scenario. But I don't think he's taken into account that Trump is also physically sick. And Malcolm is writing a book called Insurgency. He mentioned it, and it hasn't come out yet. And of course, he wants to sell it. As all authors, they want to sell their books. I just want to say, be aware when someone wants to sell books, because it's not like he's wrong, but he's not kind of tempering it at all. So that's it. Thank you, Malcolm. You're a patriot. Trump, I said possible racketeering charges for he and his kids and his attorneys. Now, in terms of sedition, Nick Ackerman, the Watergate prosecutor, has no doubts that they all could be charged with sedition easily. Now, there's a thing about, will Trump make Mike Pence the president so he can get a pardon from Mike Pence? I have doubts about that. We have doubts about that because of Trump's ego. I don't think he could tolerate seeing Mike Pence as president for even 90 minutes. He may be forced to do it, but that's my feeling. I just don't think he would turn it over to Mike Pence under any circumstances. He's just too mired in his power and his identity and so on and so forth. Now we get to something lighter that I've observed or I've thought about. It's not really psychic. I'm just going to share this with you. That what I wrote is, something's happening. Biden is appointing a normal administration with experienced staff and cabinet. What? And he is filling appointments with people from the old days who are tried and true and experienced, and he is putting together a powerful group of people that are so experienced, that know each other for the most part. They will hit the floor running. In fact, they're all talking, making plans right now. You will see such fast movement. I'm all for this. This is not a time to give new people a start. So this is the other thing. The women entering the White House as professionals, as part of the cabinet and the staff, are going to look weird to you. You want to know why? Because they're normal. I'm sorry, I'm making myself laugh, sorry. Like, we have been seeing these sort of Stepford blonde runway people, you know, and they're very cookie cutter. There's a certain way of dressing, there's makeup, there's the eyelashes, there's the little crosses. And we're not going to see false eyelashes and smoldering eye makeup and designer clothes and over-the-top outfits that look like draperies and flat hair with long extensions. It's gone. So it's going to take a little adjustment. You're going to see normal women in the White House. I'm so excited. And in fact, I just want to say generally, Trump's women that he's hired, relatives, his wife, his daughter, they always look to me when they're walking through a portal or the Rose Garden like they're walking the Paris runway. That's what it always looks like to me. They're modeling. They want another career. So, and then Kaylee actually came out and said that she was something like this. Okay, so I'm paraphrasing, that Jesus told her that she's supposed to be doing this job at the White House. So, you know, I wrote back and said, well, you know, that's really interesting because Jesus told my friend's daughter that she could have an abortion. Jesus is really interesting, isn't he? So, yeah, I'm being sarcastic. All right, so this is what I've got so far today. I just have one quote, and here's the quote, because we're heading towards something good. And actually, I just thought of something. A man, a columnist, a writer who writes for a magazine, his name is Barrow, B-A-R-R-O, and he just did an interview and he wrote an article about how 2021 is going to be a good year. I think I posted it on my community page this morning. Now that's coming back to me. My memory, you know. Anyway, it's very uplifting, and I have to agree with him. I saw him interviewed. So check it out on my community page. All right, here's the quote. Really simple. Joy will return because it insists. Joy will return because it insists. So feel really good about that. There's some things to look forward to. And I say, as always, peace and blessings. Bye-bye. Someone said they like me when I go, bye-bye. Bye-bye.